Welcome to my Lessons in Crypto Part 3. We're going to take a look at blockchain. What is blockchain? Why is blockchain? Where is blockchain? Here? Is it there? Is it Web 2? Is it Web 3? Now, according to the Oxford Dictionary, blockchain is a system in which a record of transactions, notably transactions made in cryptocurrency, is maintained across multiple computers that are linked in a peer-to-peer network. Hence, cryptocurrency is a type of digital currency. Originally created in 1991 to digitally stamp digital documents so that no one would tamper with the date and commit fraud. The idea was taken up by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009 to create Bitcoin using cryptography, proof of work, and decentralized networks. That was the magic mix, the magic hour. For more detail about what is Bitcoin, you need to see my video up there. When a new technology comes out, one thing you got to ask is, what problem is this new technology solving? Every new technology has to solve a particular problem that people have or never knew they had. For instance, Uber solved the problem of having to wait outside in the rain or cold on a street you don't know, looking for a random cab to pass you by and pick you up. In the case of New York, where yellow cabs wouldn't pick up black passengers, the problem with solving is that they tell you who the person is, it comes to your house or wherever you are and it picks you up. It has to pick you up. Otherwise, they lose money. That's the problem Uber is solving. This is how to look at Bitcoin. To understand what problem blockchain is solving, let's take a look at an example. Say you want to send $10,000 or pounds from you to a friend somewhere in another country. The first thing you do, take the cash, pay it in your bank. You then tell the bank you want to transfer it to another bank. They might ask you, why the hell do you want to send this money? Where did you get this money? Who are you sending it to? Also, they charge you high transaction fees. Is it a scam? Are you allowed to send it? And other technical issues. And when you do finally send it, it might take 3 or 4 days to get to where you want to send it. That's because the banking system is using old programming from the late 60s, early 70s. And even though they purport to be digital upfront with the UX and the user interface looks nice, the back end is still old-fashioned, over 50 years old. And in 2024, 2025, 2026, that's not acceptable. This is why blockchain was created. Therefore, the problem that blockchain is solving is cutting out the middleman, cutting out all that nonsense, cutting out high fees, cutting out questions about you or I can send our money, cutting out the lack of inclusion on banks. Like 1.7 billion people in the world don't have bank accounts, whereas with a phone, some Wi-Fi or some data, you can participate in the financial market. All of a sudden, you can actually invest in various cryptocurrencies on the blockchain, and you can start with as little as $1, $10. You don't have to have a broker now and 100,000 and a certificate to say you're allowed to invest. It's now open to everyone. This is the problem blockchain is solving. Are we clear? You agree? You concur? Good. Shall we begin? Therefore, the problem blockchain is solving is getting rid of the middleman and all its challenges and replacing it with permissionless, secure mode of dealing with transactions. A typical peer-to-peer transaction involves the user having a wallet. In this wallet, they'll have 2 different keys, a private key and a public key. The public key is like your email address. The private key is like your password. Although they combine together, one you have to keep hidden to yourself, and the other one, the public can see what that address is. Unless, of course, you're with Dash or Monero. Privacy coins. More on that later. Now, behind the scenes, when a transaction takes place on the blockchain, a Genesis block is created, and the details of this transaction is recorded on an individual block. This is called hashing. The details and the hash of the previous block is also recorded. What data is recorded depends on the blockchain. If we take Bitcoin, for instance, the data recorded includes the public key, the private key of the person the transaction is from, the public key and the private key of the person the transaction is going to, and the amount you're sending. You recall that block also creates a unique number, which is like a fingerprint that we call hash. So that any tampering with that hash or fingerprint tells the block that block is invalid and someone is trying to do something shady. And it tends to render this block invalid. And you recall the block also holds the hash of the last block. This helps it chain the old block to the new block, hence blockchain. See what I did there? Blockchain. Thus, all these blocks are linked together and form a ledger, almost like an accountant ledger where everything is written down, row by row. Copies of these ledgers is distributed amongst thousands of computers around the world. These computers are described as validators or nodes. Hence why the ledger is described as a public distributed ledger. See what they did there? Clever, huh? Hey, these people, they know sense. The validators that maintain and validate these transactions earn rewards in coins, and these coins come in form of Bitcoin or Ethereum when Ethereum was proof of work. And this is basically how most blockchains work. The reward for validating and maintaining the network is where the coin comes from. This is totally different to tokens. More on that later. Why is blockchain so secure? Why does everyone say blockchain is secure? Well, look no further than the hashing that I mentioned about 10 times already. When crypto is sent from one wallet or one person to another person's wallet, the information is encrypted using encryption algorithms. This encryption is described as hashing. It uses SHA-256. Now, blockchain is protected by complex cryptography. This makes it impossible for a hacker to duplicate this transaction, and hence why it's difficult to hack into a blockchain. Most hacks that take place tend to take place on platforms as opposed to blockchains themselves. Any indiscrepancy to one block that doesn't correlate with the thousands of other validators around the world will be marked invalid. Public distribution ledger for security. Secondly, because the record of the original transaction is distributed amongst numerous computers around the world for consensus, attempting to change the record of one block will be flagged up as invalid by the rest of the computers. This makes cryptocurrency immune to counterfeiting. And I don't know if I mentioned before, no one blockchain is the same as the other. Unlike email, where one email can be sent to thousands of people, every block is sent out is individual and marked separate to the other. So you can't have one Bitcoin duplicated to thousands of different people. Now, there are thousands of cryptocurrencies, only a few dozen blockchains. So you got the Ethereum blockchain, you got Tron, Solana, Sui, Aptos, Avalanche, the Binance blockchain, the BNB coin. So that when we're talking about coins are rewards paid out to people who own computers who maintain certain blockchain. Any other protocol or network built on top of these original blockchains don't have coins. What they issue out to people are called tokens. And these tokens are not rewards, but they're like part of the governance element of these layer 2s and layer 3s on top of the original blockchain. Ethereum has added smart contracts to the blockchain thesis and idea, making it possible to put anything now on the blockchain. Gaming, decentralized finance, gambling or Gamblify, loyalty cards, which are like NFTs, concert tickets can be put on the blockchain, deeds for lands put on the blockchain, and the blockchain as a whole is now described as Web 3. Web 1 was where we had that green images and very slow in numbers and the calculation. So Web 2 was the internet, video, color, which put the power of control to a few big conglomerates. And Web 3 now is blockchain. Web 3 is now giving it over to the individual, where you can own your own data, cut out the middleman or middlewoman. For more details on Ethereum, please see my Lessons in Crypto Part 2. I'll put down the links down there. So until next time, this is Alexander F. Onileri saying ciao.